seen their signature project in Florida and have been involved both with the Homestead Preserve and now at Van Doren Farm, and hope it's only the beginning for a lot more. I am a Rhode Islander, so I hail from New England. The Tillmans are actually from Rhode Island, which is an interesting coincidence. And one of the newer celebration projects is in New Hampshire at Bretton Woods, which is a place I'm very familiar with, having skied there when I was a kid. So enough of that. As many of you may know, I'm the author of a book called Creating New Old House that kind of set the tone for a home design movement, gratefully, that was published in 2003, in which I discussed the ideas of how you go about figuring out how to create a house that looks old but lives new, hence new and old, and set up a group of 8 what I call pillars of traditional design to guide people in trying to help them figure out what to do. In the process of writing that book, I became quite fascinated by not only looking at houses from all across the country that are very old and trying to figure out what made them unique, and following the footsteps of a lot of my colleagues who design particular regions to both photograph and digest what they had done in their houses. But I became thoroughly fascinated with a history of architecture that, even though I'm an art historian, as an undergraduate, I never really knew much, and it was never taught about the specific regional styles of architecture that make up our country. And I'm going to guess that many of you are not from Charlottesville, and that you grew up in different kinds of places with a different kind of look to the houses that were native to those places. I became quite intrigued by the whole idea of, well, I love these houses, but how in the world did they get this way? I'm sure many of you, thinking back to your hometowns and your home states, will have memories of the iconic houses of those places. So I thought I really need to do a book that talks about history and links history to the present day, shows where styles came from, how they evolved, and how my contemporaries in traditional architecture practice are interpreting those houses. So both books are really portfolios that have very little to do with me. They have a lot to do with all of my hundreds and hundreds of colleagues across the country who do fabulous houses. And I just happen to be the guy fortunate enough to go around and take great pictures of them and spend time with the guys and girls and write about them. So this book, Roots of Home, I call A Journey to a New Old House. It is really an adventure story, because what I try and do is cover the stories of every early colonial style that evolved in our country up to about the mid-19th century. And I say mid-19th century because California really wasn't populated and settled with houses that became iconic until about that time. So it's a long history.